the big domino to fall is Derek Carr ends up signing with the New Orleans Saints. We'll save you a lot of the contract stuff and kind of parse it down to basically it's like 2 years and $70 million. That's kind of like what you need to basically know.
Oh, is that right? Because I've read like 9 different combinations of numbers.
For our purposes, 2 years and $70 million.
It's not 100 guaranteed?
You got to get into the nitty gritty.
I hate contracts. Why can't they be like the NBA or the MLB where there's just a year and a number and then we go from there?
No, it can't be like that. So just trust me when I tell you 2 years, $70 million. I'm no math major, but I think I got that right. So obviously $35 million a year puts them between 9 and 10 right now in terms of quarterbacks, which seems to be kind of right where you might want Derek Carr.
That can't be. Well, 9 and 10 right now, but that's going to be.
That's going to
change.
He'll
drop down 5 spots in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
right?
because you're going to have Justin Herbert, you're going to have Joe Burrow,
Daniel Jones,
who's
Lamar Jackson,
looking for a lot of money. Lamar Jackson's looking for even more money. But you got Derek Carr going to New Orleans, and forgive me for doing this, but the first thing I thought of was, man, did the Jets blow this? Boy, did they blow this. This was the classic bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. They had multiple meetings with Derek Carr, but instead you're waiting to trade for Aaron Rodgers, which, let's talk about the hurdles, between Rodgers and the Jets. You have the fact that the guy himself has talked about retirement openly. You've got the fact that you would have significant trade compensation and maybe even a new deal. We have no idea. Instead, you could have had the simplicity of 2 years and $70 million with Derek Carr. See where you're going here with this roster. They didn't do it, Perloff. I think it's going to be something the Jets regret.
Nope. First of all, we don't know. They still have a great chance of getting Aaron Rodgers, or at least a chance of getting Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
What regret would be if they signed Derek Carr for 2 years, $70 million. I don't understand. I keep reading $100 million.
It's because 40 of it's guaranteed for injury, but you can get out before that.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? No, I believe you. I can't. I'm a pretty smart guy. I can't understand any of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the deal. What if you found out Aaron Rodgers really wanted to come to the Jets and both teams wanted to work it out, but they were stuck with Derek Carr? You would be, because I'll tell you where Derek Carr is going. He's going straight to 10-7ville for the next 4 years.
Okay, but that's a playoff team. Are you talking?
Big deal. This is a team. I think the expectations for the Jets are higher. It's 10-7. Playoffs is not going to do it. I mean, they were 7-2 last year with a combination of Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Mike White.
Yeah.
Don't you think that they need to take a bigger swing?
Listen, they might, but when you take the big swing, you could also strike out. Which is Aaron Rodgers could end up staying in Green Bay, or maybe he doesn't want to go to the Jets. That's the thing. Rodgers always could say, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to retire or whatever. He can force his way somewhere. And then what's your next plan after that? Lamar Jackson? Good luck if you can figure out what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. Whoever has the crystal ball on that, whatever. They're lying.
This is the problem. The Jets fans, all they heard was, well, if we can't get Rodgers, let's get Lamar Jackson.
Well, you're talking
That's
about
how
they have higher aspirations than just making the playoffs. So I'm giving you quarterbacks who would potentially fulfill that.
I understand. No, I get it. And I think Jets fans honestly do think like that. Let's go for Aaron Rodgers. Let's go for Lamar Jackson. Okay, listen. Derek Carr's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But ever since that Joey Bosa quote about how the second you hit him, he folds, I worry that is he tough enough to take the Jets where they need to go, because this is a really brutal conference, and it's shaping up to be a pretty brutal division too.
No kidding.
And I don't know. I'm not sure Derek Carr is cut out to lead the Jets where they want to go. And I think that where they want to go is pretty big. I think they're not aiming to be 10-7. I think they have aspirations to be higher. Maybe that's a mistake, and maybe I'm in New York and I'm getting suckered in by these expectations. But come on, what was Derek Carr? Wouldn't you be shocked if they reached a Super Bowl with Derek Carr? I would be shocked.
Well, I'm going to be shocked if they end up reaching the Super Bowl with fill in the blank of not Derek Carr and not Lamar Jackson. You go to the Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield? Cool. You going with...
No, that's not happening either.
You're going to go with Jameis Winston. You're going to go with... You don't even know if you could pry Geno Smith. And by the way, the ship might have sailed on Geno Smith considering how things ended with Geno when he was a draft pick of the Jets.
You don't want Geno Smith.
Okay, so my options here are dwindling, where Derek Carr might have looked like he's going to end up looking like the belle of the ball.
Is he, though? Why? He just got benched with the Raiders.
But you know why that was.
No, I don't know. I know why, because he played poorly.
Well, and because there was massive money coming, and the Raiders don't know what they're doing. It's a new regime, or not a new regime, but a new coach.
He stunk last year.
And he wasn't that good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand what the excitement about Derek Carr is. I think the Jets need to be home run hitters right now, like Aaron Judge in New York. They need,
Yes.
And
Aaron Judge, one of the all-time great contract years. You think that contract's going to hold up well? I got some beachfront property in Idaho for you.
I don't know. I think that Aaron Rodgers is a much more savvy idea because he's probably a year or two. Then if it doesn't work, you start over. I just don't want to be stuck with a Derek Carr. I don't want to be Kirk Cousins in the Vikings.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like you are with the Jets. So, I mean, how about this option?
What do you got?
Why not tank this year?
Jets already did that, man.
I know, but do it
I don't
right.
know if they can do that again. They did it. They did it for Zach Wilson. They bleeped it up. I don't know if you can go back to the well on that. That is a lot to ask your fan base.
Is there really an $80 million difference between Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr, or Jacoby Brissett and Derek Carr?
I mean, if you're talking about a team with Super Bowl aspirations, then yeah, I think there is, because I don't think that Baker Mayfield's getting you to a Super Bowl.
I don't think Derek Carr is.
Okay, but I have more faith in Carr than I would in Baker.
I just can't see Derek Carr getting out of that AFC with a Jets uniform. It's so hard for me to envision. Where I do have this fantasy where Aaron Rodgers goes, and it's like Tom Brady in Tampa Bay.
It's possible. I mean, listen, division's going to be a little tougher than what Brady was up against, even though Breeze was still with the Saints that first year. But, he was the shell of Drew Brees. And in the AFC, not going to be like the NFC.
Yeah, I just think that they need to see what they have out of these guys. Garrett Wilson, he'll be good with Derek Carr. Again, they'll probably go 10-7, 11-6, go out in the first playoff game.
I don't think so. I mean, it's not just Garrett Wilson. It's also Breece Hall. If he's healthy with the running back, they have a good defense.
Hey, Breece Hall is definitely not part of this equation. Is he going to be 100% by the beginning of the year?
Not sure.
And even so what? Look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had great running backs in Green Bay, and they could barely stay to 500. I think that everyone's so excited about Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. With Derek Carr, yeah, they might be good. But honestly, where do you put them in the division? Do you say that they're a clear number 2?
As you said, I mean, Jets were 7-10 with nobody's playing quarterback. And look at what they did. You raise that nobodies to competent and, good quarterbacking, you don't know where they could go. How about this? Michael in California, Mike, a caller on our show, and in the chat now, of course, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. I didn't even say hello this afternoon. Yeah. I just got right into it. Yeah. We're Maggie and Perloff, by the way. I'm Maggie, that's Perloff. We're across the country on CBS Sports Radio. We're streaming live, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. So in the chat, Michael said he's a big-time New Orleans fan, reacting to the Derek Carr news. Says, I was hoping for a tank and trying to get a franchise quarterback next year. We are not ready, and our cap is a disaster. I don't know exactly why New Orleans was so hell-bent on getting Derek Carr, especially if they're going to have to start getting rid of other guys because of their cap situation. So what kind of team is Derek Carr even leading this year? Well,
I mean, listen, New Orleans obviously had a huge advantage because Dennis Allen, the head coach, was close to Carr when they were in with the Raiders. I don't know exactly how, but Carr knows that offensive system. I think he'd have to learn a new system with the Jets, which is always tricky.
Yep.
So it made so much more sense. And if I'm Carr, I think the chance to play in the NFC South and indoors gives New Orleans a big advantage. But ultimately, I think it's a relationship. You see quarterbacks and coaches get back together. There's no guarantee that it would work out perfectly. Carr, so wait, they do have a connection to the Jets with Carr, right? Somebody.
Nathaniel Hackett?
No, Hackett is the Rodgers.
Hackett is Rodgers.
The third guy.
Yeah,
and
there's
obviously Saleh is Garoppolo.
Right.
Then there's somebody else.
But it's like the defensive side of the ball. Same thing with Dennis Allen.
But he has actually guys who coach Derek Carr. So Carr is going to immediately to an offense he knows. And they have some talent with Olave. Maybe Michael Thomas, maybe Kamara. Kamara feels like he's done. I watched him last year.
And Michael Thomas, I mean, I've been sold Michael Thomas for going on 4 years now.
I know. I hope they keep Taysom Hill for their sake. But back to the Jets, though. Think about, Derek Carr had Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and a very weak defenses in the AFC West. And didn't do really anything last year. He's going to the AFC East with, I'm sorry, I know everyone thinks the Jets receivers are second coming, but that is a big step down from Devontae Adams, and they're going against much better defenses, I think. I mean, New England is pretty good. Buffalo's pretty good. So I don't think that it's going to be easy for Carr to succeed where he didn't in the Raiders. I think there's a ceiling that is not quite high enough for where I would want to be the Jets. That's why I think they're taking a swing at Rodgers.
They are, but again, you take the swing and you could be left looking like an idiot because even if you get, say, you strike out on Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson ends up staying in Baltimore, or maybe Lamar Jackson doesn't want to go to New York. You have no idea. Or Baltimore doesn't want to trade him in the AFC. You have no clue what could happen there. And then you're going to now go down to Garoppolo? Okay, so Garoppolo is a fine quarterback. Might just be like Derek Carr. Maybe a touch better. I have no idea because Garoppolo's team and the offensive weapons were so good. But Carr's were good too. And then you're hoping, fingers crossed, you get what? 10 games out of him? So who's covering the other 7 games? Like, that's the thing. Like, the Jets had something where you would have said they are a playoff team. And then when the game slows down in the playoffs, when it becomes more about defense and the run game, especially in bad weather, at least I know I've got somebody in Carr who I trust.
Oh.
I don't even know if Garoppolo can finish a season.
You just described a close defensive game in cold weather, and Derek Carr's the guy? What are you talking about?
Listen, I'd rather. Who else do I have if it's not Rodgers or Lamar Jackson? Who's getting me to the promised land, Jets?
At least you're not stuck with Carr. I don't know. Start over. I think this flexibility is the key. Yeah, I mean, you have a young team. First of all, they're not that good. They could definitely start over. Maybe draft a guy. Maybe be in next year's draft. I don't really want. I'm not sure I want to be in the Derek Carr business if I'm the Jets. It's okay, but it's not great. And I think Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh have to kind of be great.
Listen,
Joe Douglas wants to win a Super Bowl.
I know, but that's his own fault for whiffing so bad on Zach Wilson. But you also, with Rodgers, if it's Lamar, it's going to be draft compensation. It's going to be big. I mean, Lamar is probably going to be huge, at least to be potentially 2 first-round picks, maybe more. And we don't know about Rodgers.
If they get Lamar, they don't need to draft again for the next 5 years anyway. They're not. Yeah, so you don't want any young players around Lamar. Just build everyone you got there. You're fine. And Lamar, the thing with Rodgers and Lamar in the draft compensation is hopefully you're trading the number 28 and 29 pick and nothing that's worth that much. So it's not a big deal. I don't know. Would you rather have, which would you be happier with? Lamar Jackson and give away a bunch of assets, or Derek Carr and not give away any assets?
Derek Carr.
Come on. I give you Lamar Jackson.
Absolutely. Listen, the thing about Lamar Jackson. It's going to be draft picks. It's going to be 200 and whatever, fill in the blank, guaranteed. And he's missed 10 games over the last 2 years. I think Lamar's amazing, but I want somebody who's going to be available.